Hey everyone, so with Social Security, there is an earnings test if you are under full retirement age and also want to get Social Security benefits. We've talked about this at length on this channel, but one of the questions I get all the time is, whose earnings do they actually count for this? If you're married, can your spouse's earnings affect your Social Security benefit? Well, it made me realize that I've never directly addressed this question in any of my videos, but that is going to change today, so stay tuned. Hey, I'm Devin, and this channel is all about breaking down Social Security so you can use the rules for your advantage. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and that notifications bell so you won't miss anything. Oh, and everyone ought to hit that like button too. So most married couples are used to having all of their income counted together. For example, if you file your taxes married filing jointly, earnings from both spouses are counted together to determine how much they owe in collective taxes. So it does make sense that some would wonder, what happens if a spouse earns more than the Social Security income limit? Does that stop the other spouse's benefit? Well, the answer is yes and no, but I promise it's really not complicated. Before we dive into how the spousal earnings impact the other spouse's benefit, though, let me give you a quick refresher on how the earnings test works. And you'll likely hear me refer to this by several names: the income limit, the earnings limit, or the earnings test. The official name is the earnings test, but most people refer to this as the earnings limit or the income limit. So that's what you're going to hear most often. And by the way, they all mean the same thing. Two quick things before we jump all the way in. First, be aware that we are talking about the Social Security income limits for retirement benefits, not disability or SSI. Second, the earnings limit on Social Security is not the same as income taxes on Social Security, so don't get the two confused. If you want to dive deeper into either of those topics, I'll be sure to link up my videos on the earnings test and Social Security taxation down in the description below. So when we're talking about the income limit, be aware that it only affects you if you are under full retirement age. Once you reach full retirement age, the limit does not apply. So it stands to reason you need to know exactly when your full retirement age is, and it all depends on your year of birth. But it's going to be somewhere between 66 and 67 or some age in between. The actual amount of the earnings limit changes annually too. That's another important thing to know, and it's generally an increase on an annual basis. For 2019, the amount is $17,640. For every $2 that you have in excess earnings over that limit, $1 is withheld in benefits. And it doesn't matter if that's spousal benefits or your own benefits, it's all subject to the earnings test. The only exception is the calendar year in which you reach full retirement age. Your income limit is increased, substantially increased, and more excess earnings are allowed. So that's the quick and dirty of the earnings limit. So back to the question we're going to work through in this video. Does joint income count for the earnings test? The simple but incomplete answer is no, it does not count. The earnings test is an individual test. If you have a husband and a wife who are each receiving Social Security benefits from work they performed, the other spouse's excess earnings cannot affect them. As long as those benefits they are receiving are coming from their own work history, they are insulated from the other's earnings. For example, if your wife goes back to work, it may affect her benefit payment, but it won't affect yours. But here's where this can get a little tricky. Excess earnings, those earnings that are over the limit, will affect your benefits and also any benefits paid from your benefits. So if anyone is collecting benefits from your work and you have excess earnings, their benefit will also be impacted. For example, if your wife is collecting a spousal benefit and you have excess earnings, both your benefit and her spousal benefits could be suspended. The exception to this, though, is for an ex-spouse. An ex-spouse's excess earnings can't affect your Social Security benefits. The quick summary to this is to remember that the earnings test is an individual test, but your excess earnings will not only reduce or eliminate your own benefit, but also any benefits paid to a spouse under your work record. Real quick before we go, I'd like to know what you think about something. Do you think the earnings test should be based on single or joint income? This is a little bit confusing, I know. Everything else is based on joint, but this is based on single. I do look forward to reading your comments below. And hey, if you haven't subscribed, you really should. YouTube has gotten so big that you may never, ever find me again unless you hit that subscribe button. Well, thank you so much for watching and have a fantastic day.